Boardman Black and Gold is sponsored by Zecca Enterprises, crafting furniture solutions in northwestern Pennsylvania. Call 910-777-3871 to turn your furniture problems into furniture solutions. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boardman Black and Gold podcast. This is our second iteration of our Pirates talks, and this is not going to be very positive, I don't think. Unfortunately, I think I was hoping perhaps that things were going to be more positive, but about 2 weeks into the season, we are seeing that there is probably more negative than positive, unfortunately. And I think that the biggest problem that I'm feeling right now is just this lack of hope. I have very often at the start of baseball seasons been very hopeful. I am what you would consider to be a optimistic Pirates fan, if that even is a possible thing to say. That might be a paradox, I don't know. But I'm kind of always in that boat of, okay, I'll let things happen. I'll see what happens. But the cascade of just negativity, not only on the field, but off the field in the first 13-ish games of this season, it's already having me in a mindset of just complete pessimism. And you know, the dichotomy of David and I when we talk about the Steelers is I'm usually a little bit more optimistic. And I would say that as far as all of my sports fandoms, I'm a little bit more optimistic. David definitely strays towards the pessimistic side of the Steelers, but even at times, like the Steelers were able to get David to be a little bit optimistic. You know, we had that talk when they first got into the playoffs. We were thinking, hey, you know, maybe this is okay. And then at the very beginning of last offseason, I mean, that was almost a year ago to this date, David was feeling more optimistic. But the thing about the Pirates is they find a way to get you to be even more pessimistic than you already were, which is almost impossible with the state of where this team is and where they have been for the last decade. But it doesn't seem like they can get much worse than where they are right now. And I've already talked for just a couple of minutes. I have no idea how long this episode is going to take. There have been nights in the very first series of the season, which I'll talk about in a minute, I had just this continuous thoughts going on in my mind about what I was going to say on this episode. I thought about recording this a week ago, right after that opening series, right after those first two series in Florida, and I actually got really, really sick and I couldn't even speak. So maybe that was just some indication that I shouldn't have actually recorded an episode, and maybe that was keeping me from saying some things that maybe I shouldn't have said. But alas, here we are. Right now, the Pirates sit at 5-8. And that opening series against the Marlins was really the start of the pessimism. And it started with the very, very first game of the season. It was a Paul Skenes start against Sandy Alcantara in Miami for the opening day, that Thursday, opening day. And the Pirates somehow managed to get out to an early, or not an early, but I guess a late lead, you should call it. And by the end of the game, the bullpen absolutely implodes, which is something that we could have foreseen coming. And we waste a Paul Skenes start. He was not okay. I want to be very careful with how I talk about Paul Skenes, because he was not the Paul Skenes that is super ultra dominant in that Marlins start, but he was far from bad. You saw in that sixth inning, after the Pirates had taken a 4-1 lead, and you saw him starting to kind of lose his legs a little bit. A lot of times when pitchers start to lose their legs, that's when they start to lack the control. Skenes hadn't walked a batter in the entire game, and then he started to get a little bit wavering with his command. It led to a couple of base runners. It led to a run being scored, and then it was 4-2 at that point. But then you're still thinking, okay, like, we should be fine. Caleb Ferguson came into the game after that, and he pitched a scoreless seventh inning. And then right after that, Colin Holderman, who seemed like he could do no worse than he already was last year, gives up 2 runs in the 8th to tie the game. He doesn't have a put-away pitch. And now, like, as of right now, he's on the injured list for some injury. I haven't even seen what injury it is. I'm doing injury in quotation marks. The injury is he sucks and probably shouldn't see the field again this season. And then, so he gives up 2 runs in the 8th inning, didn't have a put-away pitch. And the problem with that was he could have gotten out of that inning in a way because he did have a strikeout on one of the Marlins hitters with 2 outs. It was called a ball, and then the very next pitch was hit into center field for them to tie the game. But even before that, O'Neal Cruz had a ball in front of him. I believe there was a man on second, and there was just 1 out. And I don't know if there was 1 out or 2 outs. I'm doing this all off of memory. So 1 or 2 outs, man on second base. Ball is hit to center field. It's not super hard hit. Cruz comes up firing home, but he airmails the cutoff man, doesn't even come close to throwing out the guy at the plates, and it allows the hitter to go from first to second base on the throw. Now, I said it in our opening episode that I am willing to let O'Neal Cruz go through the growing pains in center field. I understand that it's a hard transition for a shortstop who's really never played the outfield ever before to go out and play MLB caliber outfield. Now, I said that understanding that it was probably going to be bad. However, I don't think I could have imagined how awful it was going to be in these first couple of weeks of the season. Cruz has really, really struggled in the outfield to start this season. And that was kind of the very first thing. And it did cost them the game. I don't know if Bednar actually gets the save if they come into the bottom of the 9th up and still winning in the game. But regardless, that play by Cruz to allow the man to go from first to second was what set up that to be a losing effort. That run ended up coming around to score. And that was the big problem in that game. Now, Bednar didn't even get an out in the 9th inning. He gave up, I think, a triple, which was also a really rough play by Cruz. He's kind of drifting back, and Miami's got a big center field, but he was just drifting and drifting and drifting, and he never sprinted to the spot. I don't know if he didn't get a good read off the bat. It looked like he had it tracked. Instead, it hits hard off the wall, caroms all the way back. The leadoff man gets on third base, and when you have third base with nobody out, that's pretty much an automatic win when all you need is a run in the 9th inning. So that was our opening day game. And from there, it was just the pessimism is flowing out of me. And so it was just, and that's the thing. They had 4 hits in that game, one of which was a solo home run by Nick Gonzalez. And in true Pirates fashion, he twists his ankle running the bases, and now he's out probably for several months. Literally, the one hitter that I was kind of looking forward to watching in our lineup this season, now he's hurt, and he's going to be out for a couple of months, and he did it while hitting a home run. So I don't know if you can get much more Pirates than that, but that was how opening day started. So there was that. The Pirates actually did manage to win the second game of the series. They won 4-3. And again, it wasn't really anything that, the offense really did to make that happen. Bednar really tried to give it up in the 9th inning. He gave up what was it? Was that a 2-run homer to? No, that was a different game. This was the Otto Lopez game, I think. And then the Griffin Conine homer was, I think that was, that might have been Saturday or Sunday. I forget which one that was. But the whole thing is that all 4 of these games against the Marlins were pretty much the exact same game. The Pirates failed to score more than 4 runs, and they got walked off in the 3 losses that they had. So the Pirates, the big problem again, and there are so many of them with the team that's on the field right now, is that this team just cannot hit. They failed to score more than 4 runs in each of the Marlins games. And that's not to say that the Marlins have like really, really good pitching. They've got Sandy, and he was coming off an injury, and he had a great game in the opener, except for, the one home run that he gave up. He struggled a little bit with the efficiency, but he was still very good. But then you got guys like Bozo. I don't know what his name was. I remember him a little bit from last year, but like who is that? And then we get walked off again 3 times in the opening series by the Miami Marlins, who are expected to be one of the worst teams in baseball. I think they literally spent less money in their offseason than I literally have money to my name right now, which is not a lot of money. So if that gives you any indication on where the Marlins management wants to be or even how they care about the team, the fact that they took 3 out of 4 from the Pirates in the opening series when they had Paul Skenes and Mitch Keller going. Keller was the only one to really have I think he was the only one to win. Yes, he was the only one to get a win in that series, obviously, because that was the only game they did win. But, I mean, he did fine. And then Andrew Heaney was interesting. I liked his effort. And he had a great effort against the Marlins. But the problem was that the Pirates just could not hit behind him. And again, it goes back to what I was saying in our first episode, is that the strength of this team is the starting rotation. The starting rotation is good. It might even be great. And I think we're seeing now that Andrew Heaney is kind of this Jose Quintana that we kind of had a couple of years ago, this back end of the rotation lefty, a veteran guy, doesn't throw very hard, but he knows how to sequence his pitches. He knows how to get outs. Heck, I think he had 10 strikeouts against the Yankees in that home series that we had to open the season. Like Andrew Heaney, if he's going to be doing that as a fifth starter, then my goodness, like this rotation can do a lot of great things. But again, this team cannot hit. They can't string hits together. They had a couple of, solo home runs here and there. Andrew McCutchen hit a solo home run. O'Neal Cruz hit a solo home run in that Marlins series. But nobody's ever on base for these home runs. And then they can't string together 1 or 2 hits. They can't get a single and then an extra base hit to drive in a run after that. It's just they don't have the firepower to go through and turn lineups over and over again. And that's going to do a wonder on your pitching staff. The big thing that I wanted to kind of move forward to, so I'm going to skip a little bit of the Rays and the Yankees series and move to the it was the second. Is that the second? Yes. Second Paul Skenes start? Yes. No, third Paul Skenes start. So the most recent Paul Skenes start was yesterday against the Cardinals. And Skenes gave up 5 runs. He did not have his standard Paul Skenes stuff in the game. The Pirates lost by a score of 5-3. And the thing about it was that the Pirates didn't actually score any runs until the 9th inning. They made it a little bit interesting in the 9th inning, but by then it was over. Skenes gave up 3 runs in the 3rd inning. The Pirates responded with 1 run in the 4th. And then Skenes had a rough 6th inning, gave up 2 more runs, and the Pirates were down 5-1. And at no point in the final 3 innings did you think it was even possible for the Pirates to come back in the game. They had 3 runs and 6 hits in the game. Most of that came in the 9th inning when it was already too little too late. Here's, again, the Pirates are not going to help out their greatest asset because their weakest asset is so darn weak that it is taking their strengths and turning them into weaknesses. If you expect Paul Skenes to throw 8 scoreless innings and win 1-0 every single time he goes out there, then you have unrealistic expectations and you are going to kill his confidence and perhaps mangle what he has and what he's already had to build on in the early sets of his career. Paul Skenes, if he gives up 5 runs in a game, I saw something on Twitter yesterday where people, like Pirates fans, this official Pirates account, I don't even remember who it was because I blocked them immediately, and I had followed them for a long time, but they said, yeah, Paul Skenes is overrated. He's bad because of one start where he gave up 5 runs. Well, let me tell you this right now. If the Pirates would have at least kept pace offensively with the Cardinals yesterday, then we wouldn't be talking about Paul Skenes is overrated. We wouldn't be talking about it because everything is under a microscope when your offense does absolutely nothing to help your starting pitcher. If Skenes gives up 5 runs and your offense scores 4, then you're going to say, that was a little bit of a rough day from Skenes, but he'll bounce back. Now you've got people saying, oh, Paul Skenes is overrated. Paul Skenes isn't as good as advertised. He sucks. That was probably the worst start of his career, but it was aggrandized by the fact that the Pirates scored 1 run in support of him. They did a similar thing on opening day, and they were trying to do a similar thing in the one game he played against the Rays when he was absolutely electric in 7 innings of work. Paul Skenes can't expect this. And even today, Mitch Keller goes 7 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball. He only gave up, I think, 3 hits the entire game, and he doesn't walk away with a decision because the Pirates didn't score a run until the 11th inning. And if somehow they managed to win it by a Joey Bart miracle, they had the bases loaded, nobody out, when literally anybody can score in that situation. And the Pirates were trying their best to not score, trying to do everything that they could to not do anything with that. They held the Cardinals scoreless in 2 innings, in extra innings, with the extra man on second base. Actually, was it 3 innings? It could have been, so 13th inning. So they would have had the 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah, so 3 times the Pirates bullpen held the Cardinals off with the ghost runner at second base. 2 of those times they failed to score. That was in the 10th and the 11th innings. Come on, guys. If you can't score a run from second base when they start the inning there with nobody out, if you can't do that literally normally, I think about the Phillies, and I'm not saying the Pirates have to be the Phillies, but it would be kind of nice if they were the Phillies, because up and down the Phillies lineup, you got Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, heck, you throw Gene Segura in there. I don't care that he's retired. These guys can actually hit situationally. They can drive in a run that is at second base with nobody out. These teams that have passable offenses don't worry about stranding runners in scoring position with nobody out. The Pirates do it with regularity. Bases loaded, nobody out is the worst phrase that I can hear when it involves the Pirates. Because when it's bases loaded and nobody out, the Pirates love to fail to score. They love it. They make it normalcy. I saw there's a friend that I have on Twitter. He's a Red Sox fan, and he was up in arms that the Red Sox loaded the bases and failed to score in one of their games. And I commented on Twitter, I said, that sounds like an average Tuesday for the Pirates. In the 1 inning that they can manage to get people on base, they don't score because they can't get the big hit. They can't get the situational hit. They can't move runners over when they need to move runners over. This offense is so insanely hard to watch. It's so hard to watch. It's like watching paint dry. And I watch paint drying daily with my new job. I literally watch paint dry. That's what I did today. I held up a hairdryer in front of this wet mud. They call it mud. It's pretty much paint. I held it up to this mud, and I sat there until it dried. That is what it's like watching the Pirates offense. They don't have any pop. They don't have any extra base hit threats. Their best hitter right now is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and the only thing he really does is shoot balls through the infield. That's about all he does. Andrew McCutchen has been really nice to start the season. He's actually hitting well over 300. He had a rough day today, 3 strikeouts, but again, when your best hitter is 38 years old and the rest of your lineup is hitting under the Mendoza line, that is not good. Joey Bart has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence after a rough start, but look at this. Jack Sawinski, 12 strikeouts and 26 plate appearances. Brian Reynolds, he had a little bit of a slow start. He's kind of getting his feet under him. Adam Frazier, again, I love it. I love that it's Adam Frazier, but a 182 batting average, it's not going to cut it. Let's see. Moving else. Oh my gosh. Jared Triolo. So he's on the injured list now, but good gosh. 5 strikeouts and 18 plate appearances with, let me see, 1 hit. Oh my goodness. What are we doing, guys? And then this Alexander Canario guy that we traded the Mets for, I was a little bit excited about that. I'm like, hey, this guy's got a lot of power. This guy, he's a fly ball hitter. And excuse me, like he actually seems like he might be okay. And he has 1 hit in 13 at bats. And I would argue that it shouldn't even have been a hit. Arenado just olayed it a couple of nights ago, and they gave him a hit. So okay, that's fine, I guess. But he's not very good, and I'm getting a little impatient with him. Emmanuel Valdez, why is he here? He's got a double and a triple, so I guess he's doing a little bit better than something. But like I'm looking down this line. Reynolds has 5 extra base hits. He's got 2 homers and 3 doubles. He's starting to come around. He's dealing with this tricep injury, I think, and he can't really play the field. So he's DHing, and that's that's not ideal. But in the meantime, Andrew McCutchen he's played an electric right field. I mean, he's made really, really nice catches in a couple of games. And again, he might even be our best defensive outfielder, because when we throw Jack Sawinski out there, he can't do anything right. O'Neal Cruz, again, has been rough in center field, and he came out of the game yesterday after a hit by, after a hit by pitch. So he's been, I don't know how long this injury is going to keep him out, but it's not a great sign. But again, this team, this offense, I'm just looking at this batting lineup, and it just infuriates me. Not a single guy, like Tommy Pham, hello? 108 batting average. You're gonna keep him in the lineup because he had a walk-off hit, in that one game. Congratulations, you beat the Yankees. You almost tried to lose that game about 15 different times. They should have lost that game. I almost wish they would have lost that game. Whatever. As far as the pitching staff goes, Skenes has been a great, he had the one rough start. I'm not going to hold it against him. Andrew Heaney's been great. Falter's been a little bit, choked up here. Bailey Falter's been meh. Mitch Keller, again, had a great day today. Had a rough game against the Yankees. Thomas Harrington. So he made his MLB debut against the Rays, and he kind of had a rough go there, but he did come back and he beat the Cardinals in a save opportunity. So that was nice. That was a 4-inning save. So that was pretty impressive. And not to say that it was a great outing even, but it was fine. He got the job done. That was actually the one game the Pirates have scored some runs this season. So there's that. Carmen Mlodzinski, he had a rough game against the Rays, kind of parlayed it with a decent game against the Cardinals, and that was fine. I still really don't like the idea of making him a starter, although if Thomas Harrington can be kind of a piggyback guy with him, I wouldn't mind that. I think that we can kind of make that work with Harrington kind of as a long reliever, and that's kind of something I'm willing to be a little bit more open to, I guess. So, Mlodzinski, he is what he is. I'm not going to write off that whole deal quite yet necessarily. As for some other bullpen pieces, Dennis Santana looks like he's going to be our closer right now. I think I might have mentioned, maybe I didn't. David Bednar has been sent down to AAA for he just needs to get his confidence back. He's completely and utterly destroyed as far as his confidence. He is nothing that he does at the MLB level is right, and he has to get it fixed. And I don't know if he's going to get it fixed. The thing with Bednar is his fastball was his bread and butter when he was good. And it wasn't a hard fastball. It's probably just 95, maybe 96. But the thing with Bednar is that his fastball has so much rise to it. It's such a tight spinning fastball that it plays faster than it is. But the problem is when teams start to see it a little bit, they start to adjust to it. And I think that this is kind of the beginning of the end for Bednar. He had a good pitch working, but once these teams start to figure it out, he's in trouble. And this is kind of something I anticipated, just because if you have an electric fastball that's like upper 90s, that's pretty much always going to play if you can locate it. Not only can Bednar not locate his fastball anymore, but teams have seen it. The velocity is just not, it's not high enough to be a plus pitch, no matter how much spin rate it has. And frankly, as well, his curveball used to be a good pitch, but he can't land it for a strike anymore. That used to be his get me over pitch. I'll start you out 0-0 with a curveball. You're not going to be looking for a curveball 0-0. And so he would use that to get to his fastball. He was kind of one of these pitchers that would work backwards. But with Bednar now is that his fastball's not playing like it did, and he can't locate his curveball. And when your two pitches, your only two pitches really, when you can't land them both, then like you're done. Because what ends up happening is he falls behind in the count, and then he has to groove a fastball. And when he grooves his fastball that teams have already seen for the last couple of seasons, then he's going to get rocked. And that's exactly what happened in the one inning that he has pitched this season. He's pitched in 3 games, and he's only made it through 1 inning. If you to give you any idea of how that is. Otherwise in the bullpen, Ryan Borucki's kind of gotten knocked around a little bit. He's had some big games, but overall he's been a little bit disappointing. I'm willing to be patient with him. I think he'll be fine. Caleb Ferguson has not given up a run in 6 innings. He's been very good to start the season. I like him. I would not mind him kind of moving into a more of a, I guess, leverage situation. I think I was saying about Dennis Santana, he's going to kind of be the closer, and he's looked the part. He looks like he can profile as such like that. So I'm excited to kind of see what he can do in a closing role. And he had a good little end of last season, so I'm happy with that. Justin Lawrence, all he needed to do was get out of Colorado, and he's going to be a good pitcher. So, and I think that's showing already. He's only given up 1 run in 5 innings. So I like Justin Lawrence a lot. His sweeper is like, it's so fun to watch. I mean, it's got like 5 feet of movement. You can start it at the hip of a right-handed batter, and it's going to end up in the far end of the left-handed batter's box. I like him a lot, kind of especially with that arm slot that he's got. And then Joey Wentz, he's gotten a lot of work early on this season. He's been fine, and I don't mind him at all. And so there are select guys in this bullpen that are okay, and that's good. And I think what we're seeing now is that we clipped off Holderman and Bednar, who are actively sabotaging our bullpen. So now if we can actually get some run support, then our bullpen's going to be fine. And maybe it's just because that they're not pitching in high leverage situations right now. That is why they're okay. But I mean, we saw it today, 13 inning walk-off win. They gave up 1 run, and it was thanks to a ghost runner on second base. So I think that we're kind of seeing that this bullpen is playing to be okay. The problem is that we saw the implosion of this bullpen way too many times early on in this season, and it never gave us a shot to get any wins. Now, they did win this Cardinals series, and that gives me a little bit of optimism, I guess. I think if they would have lost, which, again, they probably should have lost. Oddly enough, the 2 walk-off wins that they've had, the one against the Yankees with Tommy Pham, and then the one today with Joey Bart, I'm sitting there and I'm like, am I really excited about the fact that we just won? Like, I don't know. I'm almost just numb right now. And I hate that because that's how I felt about the Steelers. But the Pirates have kind of numbed me because it's such a boring way that they play. Their pitching staff's great. It's fun to watch their pitchers. Keller, when his stuff is on, is incredible. Skenes, obviously. And then, again, Heaney has been a welcome surprise. But this offense is so boring. so many. I mean, we talk about 3 and outs in football, talk about 1, 2, 3 innings with the Pirates. These guys just are, they can't string it together, and it's frustrating. G1 Bay already got the hook. I could go on an entire tirade. How long have I talked? I've talked for 30 minutes now. I think the original thought I had in my mind for this episode was going to be about an hour and 50 minutes with how much I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about literally every single game of the Marlins series and completely break down how awful it was. And I could do that, but I'm not going to. Maybe I'll record that at some point, but I'm struggling to get through these solo episodes without David. I'm starting to realize that, you know, it's hard to just talk by yourself for half an hour when you don't have any breaks. So, but that is one thing that will not be happening in our next episode, though, because the draft is coming around for the Steelers. And again, as of right now, this is the night of April 9th. The Steelers don't have a quarterback, and there's a lot of talks as to how that is going to shake out in the coming weeks. And the draft is coming up very, very soon. So that'll be our next episode. So make sure you stay tuned for our NFL draft episode. Final thoughts for the Pirates in the first couple of weeks of the season. Again, the word is pessimism. And 75 wins is looking bleak, honestly. And maybe it looked a little bit more bleak after those first 3 series with the 3 losses. But, you know, this Cardinals series, they get a win against a division rival. You know, if you take 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, you can't be super upset. But again, think about the teams that the Pirates have played. The Marlins, supposed to be a bottom feeder. They haven't really shown that quite yet, but, you know, they're not that great. They're not a great team. The Rays, I predicted the Rays to lose almost 100 games this season. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Their team is fine. I just don't I don't think the Rays project as even a contender to make the playoffs. The Yankees are the Yankees. You know, they're hitting a million home runs. The torpedo bats, whatever, you know, I won't get into any discourse on that right now, but, and then, you know, the Cardinals are not going to be that great. I don't think they're playoff bound. You know, I look across their lineup and their lineup is very just middling, but even in their middling lineup, they can still score runs, which is the frustrating thing about the Pirates is that they can't even field a 1 through 9 lineup that is passable. I don't ask you to win the World Series. My expectations for this team have never been lower, but even still, they somehow, some way, are making my expectations even lower, and they're not even meeting the very, very low expectations that I have. So, you know, 5-8 after 4 series, it is what it is. Maybe we'll reconvene after, you know, a couple more games, and we'll see what happens. It literally took 9 games for this team to score more than 4 runs in a game. 9 games. You would think that this team would luck into some half-decent offense every once in a while. The Cubs right now are starting off really hot, and they've scored twice as many runs, as the Pirates in their first, 4 series or whatever. It's hard to watch a bad offense. And when you have a bad offense, you're going to get blown out, and you're going to put a lot of stress on your pitching staff. So that's kind of what we're seeing early on, and unfortunately, it's probably what we're going to be seeing for a while. Now, we got the Red Series coming up, and then we've got the Nationals. So, again, 2 teams that are, they're not amazing. They're fine, I guess. But, we'll see what the Pirates are made out of. Again, 5-8. Again, we'll see. I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I had more, but until this offense really starts to do literally anything, I will continue to be very pessimistic. So that's your Pirates update for the Boardman Black and Gold podcast with Zane. And again, make sure that you tune in for our big episode. The draft for the Steelers is coming up in just a few weeks. So Dave and I are going to be breaking that down here very shortly. So stay tuned for that. As for this, Boardman Black and Gold is sponsored by Zeka Enterprises, crafting furniture solutions in northwestern Pennsylvania. You can call 910-777 3871 to turn your furniture problems into furniture solutions. We will see you guys in our draft episode that'll be coming up very soon. As always, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.